welcome to the latest installment of the budget hearing. This is a special meeting on Hempstead Town Board. Since this is a special meeting, there will be no administrative calendar and there will be no public comment at the conclusion of the meeting. There is a meeting agenda available in the rear of the pavilion. If you want to be heard on the budget, fill out a slip which may be obtained from the public safety officer. Because this is a continuation of the prior budget hearing, if you have already been heard on the budget, you will not be called up to speak again, except to the extent I've just been handed an amendment. If you've already addressed the town board on the budget, generally you may speak today on the amendment. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Supervisor Gillen?
Here.
Councilman Blakeman?
Here.
Councilman Diaz-Esposito?
I'm here.
Councilman Dunn?
Here.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Here.
Councilman Muscarella?
Here.
I now ask Councilman Diaz-Esposito to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
With your hand over your heart, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you call the public hearing, please?
Preliminary budget, Town of Hempstead for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2020.
I can't vote on amendment unless I can see the amendment. Prior to the meeting, you're supposed to give it.
Okay.
How long do we get to review it before?
Do we have any?
Mr. Regina, give me.
Do we have any motions or proposed amendments to the budget?
Yes, I move to amend the preliminary budget by reducing the salary and wage amounts of the town board majority, the supervisor's office, the receiver of taxes, and the town clerk's office, and by reducing the tax levy of the town of Hempstead Refuse Disposal District as shown in this amended resolution, copies of which are now being distributed to the board and the public.
May I have a motion on the amendment? Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the amendment.
Supervisor Gillen?
Since I have just been handed this amendment, it seems to disproportionately, I've just been handed this amendment, by the way, and I asked for it. There's a press conference about it this morning. We asked for a copy of it, but I was not given it until right now. So I have to vote no against this amendment because I haven't even had a chance to read it. And it seems to target my office disproportionately, which is has a budget about $1.7 million less than the town council, even though collectively we represent the same amount of people. And it also seems targeted at part-timers who receive no benefits. I don't know if there are people here that are going to be impacted on the TOSNA list, so I vote no on this.
Councilman Blakeman?
I vote aye, but I thought there would be public comment before the vote, but I vote aye.
Just on the amendment.
Just on the amendments. I vote aye.
Councilman Diaz-Esposito?
Aye.
Councilman Dunn?
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilman Muscarella?
Aye.
And I don't think, as far as I know, the part-timers are not targeted on this, neither are the TOSNA group. They're not targeted in this, the new resolution, preliminary supervisor.
Okay, I have slips from Diana Madden. Again, Ms. Madden, you've already been heard on the budget, but if you'd like to speak on the amendment, you're welcome to.
No, thank you.
Stuart Kroll, I believe you've already spoken on the budget.
I don't want to.
Laura Wiggins,
Present.
You come up if you want to speak.
you would just have a seat and just state your name and your address for the record before you begin speaking, Ms. Wiggins.
Okay. Pardon me, this is the first time that I address, so I'm a little nervous. But the name is Laura L. Wiggins. I reside at 1051 Jerusalem Avenue, Uniondale, New York. Okay. And I would like to make a few comments on the Uniondale Public Library budget. First of all, I know that every organization has to have a budget, but the budget should be formed in a manner that is, shall we say, aiding the business. And Uniondale Public Library is a business. There's only one problem. There is no head of Uniondale Public Library. The last director of Uniondale Public Library was in 2014. Since then, those that came to get experience numbered 3 or 4. They did not come in with the title of director. They came in with the titles such as purchasing agent. They left in a few months after acquiring what they needed to move on. At present, there is no director at Uniondale Public Library. The board, which governs, in my humble opinion, has done a poor job. For example, they have spent $137,000 to refurbish 4 bathrooms, 2 have baby tables. The bathrooms took 2.5 years to be refurbished. 2 weeks ago, there was a flood in the bathrooms, which went into the auditorium. The auditorium was closed for 2.5 years, about 7 years ago, because it's sitting on a water table. The board wishes to expand in the library. They can't do that. Why? They're sitting on a water table. Second flood in the auditorium has caused an unhealthy condition, mold in the auditorium at present. Whereupon the blue carpet is now blue and orange. If I may...
You could just try to wrap up your remarks.
I'm going to. The board was presented with a petition from the community asking for a particular party who has worked diligently in the community for over 15 years, has written grants, secured grant, has written, has written for, and has presented, oh my goodness, has secured grants for the library. The position of assistant director, she was not considered for it, although the signatures were over 300. Now, what I am saying, just to wrap it up, I'm going to wrap it up real fast. What I'm saying is this: how can you adopt, permit a group of individuals who have been negligent in taking on their fiduciary responsibility? There is no director. There is no audit. You have a one line which gives a total cost of salaries.
Okay.
That is not permissible. For this and others, which I know I'm wrapping it up, I ask you, please, what is needed is a forensic audit on the Uniondale Public Library, and the budget is to be frozen with supervision, since the town of Hempstead is the...
Thank you, Ms. Wiggins. I'm sorry, I have to keep you to your, you've already gone over your 3 minutes, and I've kept other people to 3 minutes, so thank you. The Uniondale Public Library budget, Mr. Longobardo, can you just explain to Ms. Wiggins how that works, that we don't prepare that budget?
Again, as the supervisor said,
The town does not prepare the budget. The budget is prepared by the board of the Uniondale Public Library, and they have control over expenses, they have control over hiring of the director. So unfortunately, while you bring these issues to us, the issues you raise have to be addressed to the board of the library.
The board will not address it, and since the town is the overseer for the hamlet of Uniondale, that is why I am here. Because we can go to the board, and the board will turn their heads. Then they present a budget, but the budget is not presented
I'm going to have
to...
to call up the next speaker now, but we can continue this discussion afterwards if you want to. I have your contact information. Patrick Keating or Keating Patrick?
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
My name is Patrick Keating, Baldwin resident. I have 3 topics for discussion real quick. The first one I can ask, in the budget, where can we locate specifically the actual cash amounts that is set aside for the overlay project within Baldwin? I can't seem to find it outlined. With that being said, A, how much is available to date, and B, does this include the $10 million that the governor provided to us?
So the $10 million is a completely separate grant. It's not part of our budget.
Okay. 2, within 60 days to meet FEMA's requirements for the corrective action for the Town of Hempstead Building Department. A, how much will that cost to meet this requirement? B, once submitted, what is included in estimate total dollars for that? And C, if you do not meet the FEMA's requirement within those 60 days, what is your backup plan to date?
So we've been working with FEMA. Actually, my office reached out to bring FEMA back to close out their community assistant visit. That is not part of the budget process, but I'd be happy to follow up with you and answer all your questions. We're just trying to keep the discussion today to the budget, but we have already started taking some ameliorative actions to address some of the concerns of FEMA, and I'd be happy to talk to you about them offline. I think I have your contact information.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, so we'll follow up with you afterwards, okay, Mr. Keating?
And lastly, with your multi-year capital plan, have you been able to refinance any of the debt from the town of Hempstead?
Yes, we have consistently refinanced debt as it became eligible to be refinanced, and we've saved millions of dollars.
Who was that through?
What's that?
Who was that through?
Who have we used to refinance the debt? I mean, we put it.
It goes out to bid.
It goes out to bid.
But somebody took it this time, and I was just wondering what or whom took it as the bid and won the bid. Do you know?
If we don't have that information here, we'll let you know. We'll let you know, sir. I'll get back to you on all those things.
We'll give him a chance to get it for you, sir. And we made pretty good money on it too.
Yeah, it's
So we saved some money for the town this year.
correct, especially for Baldwin, who's at stake, and maybe losing some money.
Hold on, who's giving you information?
Okay, you know what, Mr. Keating, we'll get it to you. We thought we had it. We don't.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Lucille Defina? Felix Focacci. And this is just on the amendment.
Felix Bucacci. First, the most important thing before you even get to an amendment is this meeting is illegal. The amendments were not provided on the website prior to the meeting per the open meetings law, the New York State open meetings law, which I provided at the last meeting. I've mentioned this a dozen times. In addition, they weren't provided even at the door when you walked in. I literally got them minutes before the meeting started. So this meeting is illegal, and I emphasize to the press, please write this, because they're all lawbreakers right here. All of them right here. You're looking at them, they're all lawbreakers, and our parliamentarian there, the Joe Rock, he goes along with it. He should step up and say, this is illegal. But he doesn't do that, because he doesn't care about the law. He's a lawyer, the town attorney does not care about the law. Now, can you explain each of these bullet points, because I don't have time in the few minutes I got to look up each of these codes and look at the budgets and the percentages. So can someone tell me what these are?
Can you explain these, Bruce? It's your amendment, right?
Mr. Massimorino.
You can do it by code, but basically, I'll give you the encapsulated version is as follows. We heard from the people. They wanted us to cut back on spending, especially on staffing for both the town council and all of the elected officials. We went about cutting our own staff. We cut the supervisor staff, we cut the receiver of taxes staff, and we cut the clerk staff in order to achieve additional savings. So we are tonight delivering a 4% plus tax cut to the taxpayers of the town of Hempstead, and we did it by cutting our own staff and by cutting all elected official staff. So I'm quite proud that we were able to do that, and I think, Felix, even you would agree that's a good thing.
I can't see what this is.
Well, John, would you explain the codes to Mr. Procacci?
Yes. Don Mastro Marino, for Jeremy Ballich, New York. The changes are in the town board majority, reducing full-time wages $256,651, reducing part-time wages.
That's something different, I don't have that.
You asking me for the detail, I'm giving it to you.
Yeah, the details, so tell me what each of these are, I don't know what you're reading. What's this one?
The difference, when these items are reduced in the budget, you have to give what the budget is showing now, which is the $2,164,422, and what it's going to be reduced to. It's going to be reduced to $1,907,771 by the elimination of full-time wages and part-time wages in the town board majority. These are the codes that are in the budget. These are the codes in the budget.
I understand, what positions are being eliminated?
There are two positions, executive assistant to the town board and one legislative aide, and part-time, $25,000.
Okay, then the next one, what do you?
The next one in the supervisor's budget is reducing full-time wages $265,000. It represents a special assistant to the supervisor and an executive assistant to the supervisor. And that's your from and to numbers that you're reading.
And then
The others in the receiver of taxes and the town clerk.
Wait, you're going ahead. Did you talk about this one yet?
Yes, that's the $25,000 reduction in part-time wages.
For?
See the $55,000 and then it's $30,000.
I can read numbers, but I just don't know what positions you're actually cutting, because you just give.
Well, I'm telling you, it's part-time wages,
Yeah.
$25,000.
This one, over here. What's this one?
That's $144,720 to $44,000, so that's a reduction.
I can read numbers, Miss Sir. I can really read numbers.
I think he wants to know what the code means. Can you tell him what each line of the
What's in
code
the budget?
means?
I have to take out the budget and take a look.
What?
Why don't you take out the budget and take a look?
But you know what it is? All it is the same ones that we had before. And all he's doing is taking more money from them. That's it. You had it when we got the first ones. It's the same ones, except he's reducing it a little more.
Is there anybody who can explain what the codes are? If Mr. Massimorino can't do it, could you please tell Mr. Procacci what the codes are? He has it right to know.
The 1330 code is the receiver of taxes, part-time wages.
That's what he's telling them, tell him.
820 to 44,820. It's receiver of taxes, part-time wages, is what I told you. The next one is town clerk, that's the 1410 code. It's part-time wages, again, 341,849 to 241,849.
Thank you, Mr. Capabianco, for confirming everything that Mr. Mascherino just said.
Now, the problem with, I see, when you're reducing the receiver of taxes part-time wages. If you go back to history and you look at how much the receiver of taxes budget has grown, since Don Clavin has been receiver of taxes, his budget has gone up 80%, while the taxes have gone up, according to the numbers I got, 54%, and the supervisor's budget has gone up about 50%, in rough numbers. Now, you're taking a big chunk of money out of the supervisor's budget, real meat, but you're not doing the same thing for the receiver of taxes budget. And that's why I want you to detail it out, because this is a lopsided thing. And I can tell, because Supervisor Gillen said so, you didn't even consult her office. So I don't understand how you do a budget without consulting the people that you're going to affect. And how would you like it if somebody cut your budget without even telling you what they're going to cut out of your budget? That's not the way you do things. This meeting is illegal. This meeting is illegal. These numbers should have been put up on the website prior to the previous meeting.
Felix, is it your question, you're asking how are people's wages cut without people knowing? It's exactly, let me finish.
You're cutting a department head, department's wages without consulting the head of the department.
It's exactly what the supervisor, when she put forth her budget, there was commissioners that didn't know people were getting cut.
There were discussions with every commissioner.
Okay, well, I bet you if we brought every commissioner up here, they would say differently. So,
Well, I'll just tell you right now.
I'm going to tell you right now, you had no problem when that was the case when the budget was originally presented. But now we're presenting numbers today, cutting from not only the receiver of taxes, not only the town clerk, but the supervisor and the majority on the town board.
Like I said, you're not. It's so lopsided. It's not funny.
No, it's not. We're cutting more from the majority than we are from the supervisor. How do you say that's lopsided? We're following the lead that you gave us.
You're not following the lead, because what I asked you to do.
You asked us to
No, but listen to this, then I'll leave.
Excuse me.
I will leave after this.
Excuse me.
After, I said that I wanted a resolution that requires that the town board pass a resolution to change the budget before they change the budget. Because right now, all these things like part-time wages, you hire part-timers without resolutions. So you can put all this money back and the public will never know, even if they read the resolutions at every meeting.
Are you for the 4% tax cut?
I'm not for this kind of protocol. I sent an email to all of you right after that meeting when I suggested cuts, the executive thing, which I agree with. I said you all should work together. That's what I said too. You want to cherry pick what I said. I want you guys to work together. For you to just cut someone's budget without even consulting them, that's dead wrong. You can say whatever you want. It's wrong. And this meeting is wrong because you didn't present it to the public prior to the meeting. You didn't put it on the website prior to the meeting.
Well, what about the fact that we would not listen? We have to do something, because we didn't even know that we were losing $3.8 million from our budget until the day we were here.
Wilhelmina Thunderberg? Good evening, Ms. Thunderberg. If you just state your name and address for the record, please.
Wilhelmina Thunderberg, 156 East Clinton Avenue, Roosevelt, New York, over 50 years. The first thing to start with is that it's very unfair to the young lady that was up here speaking, and you kept telling her, stopping her, telling her that her time was up. When the gentleman came here, he said, I'm watching that clock, his time started over, you didn't say one word.
I believe he kept speaking because people asked him questions and he was responding to questions from the council.
I'm sitting right there. I don't have a hearing aid, I heard. And that's not fair. If you're going to do it for one, you got to do it for everybody. Otherwise, don't do it.
Let's request everybody to 3 minutes now.
Pardon me?
try to hold everybody to 3 minutes, ma'am.
But you didn't do it before. I'm talking about what just happened tonight. I'm sitting right here. The young lady said to you, she said, I'll be finished up in a minute. You kept interrupting her. You didn't interrupt her one time.
Thank you, Ms. Thunder.
And thank you.
About the budget.
And I'm not going to get up till I finish. I'm telling you right now. And don't interrupt me. Okay? I want to be treated just like the children that just left here. Thank you. Okay. The question that I like to ask is in Newsday, it was reported that $3.8 million, that's why you didn't pass the budget the last time you had a meeting, I wasn't here. The board did not know that the $3.8 million had not been approved that the town's supposed to receive. Has it been approved that the town's going to receive this $3.8 million?
It is still in question.
According to, I can tell you this, the reason we found out, first of all, that we weren't getting was through Mr. Assemblyman Edward Roth. If he hadn't told us, we wouldn't have known. And that was the day that we were supposed to pass the budget. That's why we didn't. The information that come into the supervisor on the 29th and the 30th, he sent a letter. She didn't explain it to us at all. She didn't tell us that at all. We didn't know it. So when we found, I was very upset about it because I knew the money was coming to the county, but I didn't know that it had come and how it was done. And then we got a letter from the county controller that there was no mechanism for us to receive that money. $3.8 million would create a big hole in our budget. So finally, this was on Wednesday. On Thursday, there was an article in Newsday. Newsday put an article about whatever they say, but not what we say. They always say it differently. She said that she was trying to find a way to work with NYPA and others to make sure that we got that money. And I think she's going to have a meeting November 12th. And she's going to ensure that we get the $3.8 million, which would left a big hole in our budget because we did not know it. She knew it, and she had gotten it, but we didn't. All right, so we should be getting that money now through NYPA.
The question that I'm asking is, are you sure you're going to receive this money? I haven't heard anyone yet said, yes, we are certain we're going to get this money. Because from reading the paper, it says, it was explained that, the board has said if they don't receive this money, there's going to be a big deficit if this budget is passed. Am I correct or am I wrong?
Yes. No, actually, we have received assurances from the county executive and the presiding officer of the legislature that the $3.8 million will be there. And we also consulted with our financial people, and we feel that in the unlikely event it's not there, that we would be able to develop a contingency plan to make up for that.
Okay, and I can tell you now, we had a meeting with our attorneys, which we are empowered to do. That's part of the regulations of the state of New York, and we received a letter that we were in violation, that we should go to school. They should take us back to school to learn how we're supposed to function. And that's because the person who wrote it didn't know how we function. We function, we can have a private meeting as long as we have attorneys and we're seeking information, and which we did. So somebody had that wrong too, a lot of wrong things going around here.
Well, I've been coming to quite a few meetings. And just about every time I come, the board is complaining that something that the supervisor has done or planned to do have not been discussed with the board. This I don't understand. How in the world a supervisor thinks that she has more power than the board members? I don't understand that. Everything is supposed to be discussed with the board, and then you make a decision. The board is not supposed to come to a meeting and speak to the public and say, oh, well, we can't vote on this today because we just hearing about it. That's definitely not.
You know what, ma'am? I just got an amendment to the budget today that they didn't discuss with me, that they had a press conference about it at 11 o'clock, and after their press conference, I asked for a copy of it, and I didn't get it to tonight. So they're doing exactly what you're saying.
No, they're doing exactly what you have been doing all year. That's what they're doing. That's right. Okay? Because, see, I come to these meetings a lot. I missed quite a few because I had surgery. But I come to these meetings quite a lot. And not only that, I read that Newsday every day, which is not fair anyway. But I know from coming to these meetings every day, every month or whenever, that every time I come, you gotta postpone something and come back because the board because you did not inform the board before this issue came up. So, you know, what you're saying now is something that you have been doing all along. You know, and it should stop. Because it's a waste of our time too. Because if everything is done right, when you come to the meetings, you can vote on what you're gonna vote on if the board knows, and then when we don't have to come back. I'm not finished. Okay, so I'm not about to get up, I tell you that. The next thing I want to say to you is that I've been reading a lot, and this has nothing to do with the budget, but I've been reading a lot in the paper about you selling property in Roosevelt.
Okay, today we're only talking about the budget, ma'am. We're only talking about the budget today. We're not selling property in Roosevelt. We're only talking about the budget today.
And you keep
Today is a special hearing on the budget.
Property in Roosevelt. You need to speak to the people in Roosevelt.
There's nothing on the market in Roosevelt right now except privately owned property. The town's not selling any property at the moment.
No, it's
Thank you.
At the moment.
Western Beach parking lot is not publicly owned. That's owned by the town, okay?
Indeed it is.
That's right.
Okay, we don't have,
And it's also
is there anybody else who'd like to be heard on the budget?
Okay?
Is there anybody else who'd like to be heard on the budget?
Well, one thing for sure, they can't come until I get up, and I don't think nobody's here gonna pick me up.
Is there anybody else who'd like to be
But I
heard on
tell
the
you what I
budget?
will do, I'll get up this time.
Ma'am, I appreciate everything you said. Thank you for coming. Thank you very much for being here.
Is there no one else on the budget? Okay. May I have a motion on the budget as amended?
I move that we pass the budget as amended.
I second the motion.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Gillen?
2 years in office, 2 years of tax cuts for residents. I am proud to have presented a budget proposal that cut taxes for residents, and I'm delighted that the town council has decided to follow my lead on that. I take complete credit for this tax cut because I'm quite confident that residents would not be getting their taxes cut since they went up $99.3 million until I arrived. I think holding a vote on the budget on the night before an election is clearly political theater. After delaying it twice, residents can see through it. Never before, to my knowledge, has it taken 5 separate meetings of the town board to complete the annual budget process. I vote aye on the budget, something that we should have done weeks ago. Thank you.
Councilman Blakeman?
Yes, I'm very proud to vote aye on another tax cutting budget that has cut taxes by 8% over the past 2 years. Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pazino?
Well, speaking of political theater. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to comment on the 2 years in office that the supervisor was just speaking of, and point out that in her first year in office, there was a tax cut proposed, to which she proudly voted no. I'm going to start there. She's taken that no vote, and over the last 2 years, especially over the last 6 or 7 months, has decided to tell the town of Hempstead, the largest township in America, that she in fact cut taxes, just continuing to spread lies. And it's sad, because all those commercials that were made with Mother Teresa, she must be spinning.
Yes.
So with that said, I am proud to stand with the town board, Senior Councilwoman Gooseby, reach across the aisle, and the people that are sitting on this dais are the ones that over the last 2 years have produced an 8% tax decrease for town of Hempstead residents. I vote aye.
Councilman Dunn?
I'm going to be real brief. It was a lot of work, an awful lot of work by an awful lot of people to get to this point. Absent leadership from the top person supposed to be on this board, the supervisor. Absent that leadership, we still came with a giant tax cut. To me, 4% is giant. And shame on anybody for trying to take credit for something somebody else did. I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to vote aye on this budget.
Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Well, I'm very proud to be a part of this board. we have worked together to make sure that we save money for our taxpayers. And it's important because our people really need to have as much saving as they could, especially since what happened to them before. I am very sorry that the supervisor felt that she cut taxes because we did it the first time. We did not, she wanted to raise the taxes, we cut the taxes. And this time we'll cut them even further, and it's not going to hurt our people. It is not there. We did not know that we were going to get we're not getting the $3.8 million from the AIM program that we should have gotten. The governor changed it this year. The AIM program money always came directly to the town. And some of you may not know, we use that money for roads, and we also use it to help the people who are disadvantaged at our anchor program. That's where the money goes. And it's sad that we were worried about that because, you know, if we had not gotten that 3.8, it probably would have been a 12% tax hike, and she would have been right in it. And we would have gotten caught in it because what she was trying to do is have us cut it. Go ahead and pass the budget and not know we're going to be $3.8 million short. That's what bothered me. It has nothing to do with the person, but when you sit on this board and you take an oath that you're working for the people, I think that's what you should do. And that's why I will vote yes.
Councilman Ostrella?
I'm proud, I have a little bit of a cold here, so I'm going to keep it even shorter than Dennis time. I'm very proud to be a member of this board. I'm very proud to make sure that we put the taxpayers first and then we execute good government, efficient government. Thank you.
And I have to say this. I am very disappointed with Newsday and Herald and Channel 12. I have cut my subscription. I stopped my subscription to Newsday because they're not free to all of us, all of us. You never see anything about my district that's going on that the children do, that our people do. We are part of this community. We're part of Nassau County, and they act as if we aren't. It's been sprayed on one person this whole time. I've never seen in my career a newspaper or Channel 12 that has done what they have done. They're talking about the theatrical. If you know, I don't know who's paying them or who's doing whatever they're doing, but it's wrong. And this is the United States of America. After 9/11, we said we were all one, but that's gone now. So thank you all very much. I think tonight has been. I call the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Councilman Blakeman?
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Esposito?
Aye.
Councilman Dunn?
Aye.
Senior Councilwoman Boothby?
Aye. And thank you all for coming.
Councilman Muscarella?
Aye.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
for being
Thank
here.
you.
Get home safe.